right, good evening, Spartacat fans. We are coming to you from West St. Paul Arena tonight. The girls are facing off against West St. Paul. Looks like they're having a little trouble getting the clock up and running here while the girls are warming up, so just hang tight. We'll get started here pretty soon. Oh boy, it looks like the girls are all kind of getting ready to kick this game off. We still don't have a clock yet, so hopefully they get this up and on the board here soon. A little tough to get coordinated here without a clock, so fingers crossed they figure it out. Looks like we might be starting a game here with no clock. Well, I know we have a new counter on. We're gonna turn the counter on and see if we can kind of track along with the refs. All right, whistle's blown, puck drop. We've got Emily Quant taking the face off. She drives it deep into the zone. West St. Paul picks it up. Koken at the line, dumps it back in. And Smith now getting a mix. West St. Paul kicking it back out, taking it into the neutral zone, interrupted by Smith. Puck ends up in the Spartacat zone. I guess no clocks today. I started it on the counter though. Koken taking it behind the net, passes up to Smith off the boards. West St. Paul rips it back to the corner here, and now Avery picking it up. Avery passes up to Huseman. Huseman with a long pass over to Smith. Smith looking for the pass to Huseman, gets interrupted. Quant off the bench, takes it up into the zone. She gets broken up there by West St. Paul. And West St. Paul coming up the boards. Quant getting in the mix with Kolslak and Emily Quant. Or sorry, Beckwith, my bad. Puck flies toward the West St. Paul zone. That's on net. Goalie's just going to deflect that off to the side here. Erickson now getting in the mix. Puck comes back to the line. Quant with a shot on net from inside the blue line. And goalie stops that one. We're going to do our best to start and stop the clock. We don't have any clock counter here in the rinks. So I guess we're just winging it tonight, folks. Yeah, so right now we have, our clock counter shows 12:34 on the clock in the first period. Looks like they got a backup coming in to help with the clock situation. All right, whistle's blown here. Erickson at the face-off. She's driving it into the corner. Puck gets flung around. No, she's chasing behind the net. Picked up by Kolslak. Kolslak in the corner battling. Erickson coming in to try to get that puck free. Eilertson steps up. Keep that puck in. Here comes Erickson with a nice little back check there. Interrupts the play and now picked up by Claire Eilertson. Eilertson passes up to Kolslak. Kolslak at center ice off the boards, picked up by Beckwith now. Beckwith takes it in, driving it into the zone. Shot gets blocked by West St. Paul. West St. Paul on the way back. Saliga gets a piece of it, drives it back into the West St. Paul zone, and they kick it out. Off the boards, here comes Koken to try to get a piece of that. Saliga picks it up behind our own net. She's going to take it around. Pass up to Eilertson. Eilertson, she sees Luneberg. Luneberg gets tangled in her skates, picks it up anyway. Shot, that goes in. Spartacats on the board first. It's not stopped.
We're going to reset.
Oh, they got the clock. All right. Looks like we are going to have a clock here in a second. Emily Quant taking the draw. Puck comes back. Here comes Lunenburg now controlling. Passes up to Eilertson. Eilertson on the move, past the blue line, along the boards, takes it back behind the net. Eilertson passes up to Saliga. Saliga looking for the pass back to Quant. Quant centers. Eilertson gets a nice piece of that one just in front of the net. And West St. Paul just enough players there to break that up. They take it behind their own net. Puck comes out to neutral. Here comes Lunenburg now, controlling, sends it back to Koken. Koken looking for the pass up. Koken dumps it. Picked off by West St. Paul and cleared. Koken with a nice hustle there. And West St. Paul ends up in the corner. Here comes Eilertson to battle with Erickson. Puck comes out. West St. Paul controlling into the neutral zone, past the blue line. Quant and Erickson trying to get in front of that player. Koken now picks it up in the corner, sends it up to Smith. Smith gets tangled up a little bit. Puck clears to the neutral zone, and now West St. Paul controlling. They pass up to their wing. Riley Quant now is there with Beckwith taking it behind the net. Up to Smith. Smith with a pass looking for Erickson. That gets interrupted. Erickson chips it up and over. West St. Paul. Erickson reaching with that stick. Close little, could have been a hooking call there. Erickson gets taken out, and the puck goes back into the West St. Paul zone. Smith on the chase. Smith and Huseman looking to interrupt. Here comes Beckwith now, keeps it in. Beckwith trying to get a shot, just bounces, got blocked by West St. Paul. Huseman now steps in. West St. Paul clears. Beckwith looking for a move, sends it over to Huseman. Huseman, long pass to Emily Quant, picked off by West St. Paul. Now Smith on the boards, chips it into the corner. Emily Quant behind the net to Huseman. Huseman looking for the pass, that gets interrupted. West St. Paul on the move back now. West St. Paul at the red line. Here comes Beckwith to get a piece of the puck. She's controlling. She's got some room, evading. Look at that fancy stick work there by Kendall. Interrupted by West St. Paul, and they chip it back. No problem. Emily Quant is there to pick that up on the boards. Emily Quant with a shot that goes wide of the net. Now Saliga dumps it back behind the net. Kolslak off the bench. Saliga trying to get a shot off. That got interrupted. West St. Paul on the move. 1v1 against Beckwith. West St. Paul gets through. Shot saved by Reek. What a save by Anna Reek there. Got her pads on that one. Pass up to Kolslak. A little bit too long of a reach there for her. West St. Paul sends it back into the neutral zone. They dump it on net. Oh no, just wide of the net there. Reek was ready for it. Eilertson gets stripped, no call. Koken taking it into the neutral zone, dumps it. And we've got Eilertson and Erickson on the chase. Erickson coming in with that stick. Surgical precision there by Erickson and Eilertson to interrupt the puck play. And now Lunenburg controlling in the corner. Lunenburg behind the net, looking for an opportunity, looking for a move. Erickson tangled up. Lunenburg back to Quant. Quant to Erickson. Erickson centers. That got picked off by West St. Paul. Lunenburg on the boards with Eilertson. Puck comes loose. West St. Paul comes, so there's a whistle. What was the call? Not sure. We've got 7:36 on the clock here. 7:36 in the first period. Spartacats up 1-0. Player number 4 on the West St. Paul taking a penalty here, so Spartacats up on the power play. Quant at the draw, comes back to Smith. Beckwith over to Quant. Quant sends it on net. It's loose in front of the net, picked off by West St. Paul. And they dump it. It's on net. Hughes now has come into the net, and she manages to deflect that with her stick. Riley Quant behind the net, passes up to Smith. Smith looking for the cross ice, finds Beckwith, and now Hughesman controlling the puck up the ice. Hughesman, long pass to Quant. West St. Paul gets a piece of that puck, but tripped on a bump in the ice there. Emily Quant trying to get a shot, interrupted by West St. Paul. West St. Paul off the boards. Sends it into the zone, into the Spartacat zone. That'll be an icing call. All right, so Spartacats will take a face-off here in the offensive zone with Erickson at the puck drop. Erickson sends it over to Kolslak. Kolslak gets tangled up in the corner. She takes out a West St. Paul player, and they send it cross ice, interrupted by Koken. Everybody gets onside, and she dumps it. West St. Paul controlling behind the net. Here comes Erickson and Kolslak to interrupt. Erickson pinching on the boards, picked up by West St. Paul now. West St. Paul trying to drive up the ice. They send it! Soliga gets a piece of it. Erickson with a nice back check there. Stops that momentum, and now Koken controlling. Koken off the boards, picked up by Eilertson, and she dumps it to the corner. 5:52 on the clock here. Erickson battling behind the net. Here comes Lunenburg off the bench to pick up the puck. And centers! Oh, Eilertson was there. She had a piece of that puck, couldn't quite get it into the net. She got tangled up, shot was a little wide. Lunenburg back to Koken. They're offside, they got to regroup. Sends it to Soliga. Soliga up the ice to Quant. Quant back to Koken. Koken up to Eilertson. Eilertson to Lunenburg. That goes through the skates there, and now Quant sends it to the boards, picked up by West St. Paul. Eilertson comes in with her stick, picks that puck up. West St. Paul wraps around the boards. Lunenburg puts her wheels on to get there first. And West St. Paul clears. Emily Quant sends it up to her sister, Riley. Sorry, Riley to Emily. She gets a shot on net. Goalie gets a piece of that one with her glove. A lot of passing there. I think I called like a pass, I don't know, 6 or 7 passes between girls, so they're doing a great job of moving the puck tonight. 4:47 on the clock. The counter on our screen is not right, folks, so you're just gonna have to bear with us. They're not starting the clock. Start the clock! You know, a little encouragement from the video streamer and the fans to start the clock. Pass over to Quant along the board. Centers to Erickson. She gets a piece of that puck. Goalie stops it. 4:33 on the clock. We are going to try to show a replay. We have a new app we're trying out tonight, folks. We'll try this little replay action here while we wait for the puck drop. Erickson gets that puck drop to the corner. And on the boards now, Quant trying to center. West St. Paul looking to clear. They chip it up and over some players into the neutral zone. And now Riley Quant controlling the puck. Looking to pass to Hughesman. Hughesman gets a piece of that one. Sends it cross ice to Eilertson. Nice shot by Smith there. Smith behind the net. Now in the corner, gets tangled and pinched. Here comes Huseman to help out. Sends it cross ice, hits Erickson in the head. Again, I think that's the second game she got hit in the side of the head there. And West St. Paul gets offside here. So 3:47 on the clock, still in the first period. Spartacats up 1-0.
It's like the clock is faster than our clock. So I gotta adjust it.
Yeah, I don't think our app is probably not great. All right, 3:47 on the clock. We are just tangled up. That was, I believe, Kolslak tangled up. West St. Paul gets a shot. Hughes makes the save, sends it to the corner, and now Eilertson gets a piece of it. Here comes Emily Quant on the boards, chipping it up the ice. West St. Paul sends it back, stopped by Eilertson. Puck comes out to center ice here, and now Saliga trying to get through. She gets taken out here. Kolslak with a nice stick keeps it in. Emily Quant controlling it along the boards. Saliga comes in hot off the bench to keep it in. Saliga centers to Eilertson. Eilertson rips one, hits the, oh, and that's barely in. Holy cow, that hit the goalie. She saved the puck there. Hit her in the chest, bounced out of her chest, and then just slowly trickled over the line. That was an unlucky bounce for the goalie. Lucky bounce for Spartacats, I guess. So Spartacats up 2-0. You try the replay on that one? Yeah. Okay. No, they gave it to her. All right, Erickson at the puck drop here. Puck ends up in the corner. Lunenburg and Eilertson trying to center that puck. Eilertson picks it up behind the net. West St. Paul controlling up the ice. Here comes Erickson with the back check. Lunenburg gets a piece of it. And Beckwith, there's a trip, there's a call. All right, so Beckwith draws the penalty. And Spartacats on a power play.
Clock is way fast.
Or our clock is slow. Erickson taking the face off. Sends it to the corner. Lunenburg on the chase. Erickson comes in to help. Erickson picks it up, sends it over to Eilertson. Eilertson trying to maneuver. She's got two West St. Paul players tangled up. Erickson picks up the puck, sends it back to Lunenburg. Lunenburg shot. Goalie swallows that one up. .217 on the clock here in the first period. Erickson back at the draw. Erickson battling here at the circle. Puck ends up in the corner. Erickson comes in to try to get a piece of it. West St. Paul behind the net, trying to chip it up. Oh, Lunenburg getting in there and getting physical. No call on that one. Lunenburg battling here on the board, sends it back to Quant. Quant chips it up and over to Lunenburg. Lunenburg over to Eilertson. Eilertson back to Lunenburg. Lunenburg back to Eilertson. They're just gonna play keep away a little bit here to Lunenburg. She's set up for a shot, takes one, and that hits the goalie in the chest. You wanna do the highlight on that one? Let's try it so we can see. Try the highlight.
I did one for the goal.
Emily Quant at the face-off, sends it back to Saliga. Saliga to Koken. Koken to Quant to Saliga. Back to Quant. Over to Koken. Koken looking for move off the boards. Smith picks it up. Smith behind the net. Smith gets blocked by West St. Paul. They manage to chip it out. Soliga gets a piece of it. Now Emily Quant controlling the puck, driving it into the slot. West St. Paul sends it up the ice. Koken coming in to slap it in. It's out. Soliga gets a piece of it. It's in our zone, but Soliga controls. Taking it behind the net, evading West St. Paul. Sends it over to Huseman. And West St. Paul full strength now. 41 seconds on the clock. West St. Paul behind our net. Koch, and they're trying to get the mix. They get it back to the point. Weak slap shot there by West St. Paul. Picked up by Smith. Smith looking for Huseman, passes it. Quant sends it, centers it. Smith was tangled up in front of the net. Smith now tangled up in the corner. West St. Paul comes away with it, up the ice, into the neutral zone. Beckwith has her eye on it. That's the end of the first period. Okay, folks, so shout out to Gallagher's and West St. Paul for hosting the Parent Bark tonight. You know, a couple parents a little nervous about heading into what they call the sketchy neighborhood. But, you know, drinks were cold, so parents had a good time. I think we have a majority of our crew on the ice tonight. I think just, I know Weigel is not here tonight, and Claire Eilertson also not skating tonight. So this is probably the most we've had on the bench here in a while. Okay, here comes the horn. So girls getting ready to head back out onto the ice. Shout out to a couple grandparents. I know we got the grandparents watching at home tonight. Got Grandma Sally out in Hastings. I know she's watching the girls play tonight. And we've got Gators grandparents watching tonight. Shout out to them. And Kendall Beckwith grandparents also watching tonight. So, you know, they got to support the grandkids, right? I'm glad they can watch the game. I know someone's in like South Padre Island. I think that's Beckwith's grandparents, sorry. So they're definitely somewhere warmer than I am. Take me with you next time, huh? Kendall keeps it in, dancing on the line there to Kolslak, sends it to the net, and that gets saved by the tender. Erickson coming in to try to interrupt that play. West St. Paul manages to send it cross up the ice, and that'll be an icing call. Erickson at the draw. Erickson tangled up. Eilertson sends it back behind the net. Kolslak now picking it up in the near corner to Koken. Koken sends it on net. That gets blocked. Erickson coming in to try to get a little bit of a rebound there. And that ends up back behind the net with West St. Paul. West St. Paul trying to control. They pass up to their wing. Nice cross-ice pass there by West St. Paul, and they're moving up the ice. Soliga has her eyes on the prize and took that player out. That did not get called. Probably should have, but what do I know? West St. Paul with a shot gets blocked through all the traffic, and now they pick it up, take it behind the net. West St. Paul to their D. Shot goes wide. And We are on the boards here, and there's a call on one of the Spartacats. I think it's going to be on Koken, maybe. Okay, so West St. Paul putting a little pressure here on the Spartacats. Koken in the net now, and we'll have a penalty kill for 1:30. Got 12:34 on the clock. Eilertson taking the face-off. Eilertson chips it up and out. Eilertson on the move. Eilertson with a breakaway. Eilertson shot. Oh, goalie saves that one. Saw the big smiles on her parents as she took a nice shot on net there. Now Lunenburg trying to control this puck behind the net. And Beckwith takes it in. Beckwith sends it on net. Goalie manages to sit on that one. Spartacats taking a couple shots on goal here, even though we have a 1:04 left on the penalty or the power play. For those of you keeping count at home, I know there's some goalie grandparents watching, Gators grandparents especially, but shots on goal, 15-2 favoring the Cats. Beckwith controlling this on the boards, takes it into the corner, now behind the net. Chips it up to Quant. Quant rips it in through some traffic. Goalie gets her paddle on that one. Comes back to Beckwith again. Beckwith rips it in through traffic. Goalie gets her pads now. Eilertson controlling. Eilertson sends it up to Quant. West St. Paul finally gets a piece of the puck. No problem. We've got Quant now. Picks it up in the neutral zone. Quant up the board, sends it to Lunenburg. She dumps it back behind the net. We've got 28 seconds left on this penalty kill, and Eilertson comes in hot to pick up the puck. Sends it back to Beckwith. Beckwith shot. Looking for the deflection there from Eilertson, but couldn't quite connect. And now Quant. Oh, we end up back with Beckwith just inside the blue line, and she's evading. Beckwith over to Riley Quant. Riley sends it on net. Quant is right there. She sends it. And West St. Paul with some speed, they break through. Quant is trying to get there. They do get a shot. Anna Reek gets her waffle on that. We end up in the corner. West St. Paul controlling the puck now. Send it on net. Reek again gets a paddle on that one. Puck comes back up to Huseman. Huseman looking for Smith. She's got Quant and Smith with her. Quant picks it up on the back stick and gets taken out. West St. Paul sends it up the ice. This will be an icing call. That was lucky. We could have had a little bit of a breakaway there. Player couldn't get there fast enough. So taking icing and a face-off here in the offensive zone. 10:32 on the clock. Emily Quant taking the face-off. Chips it over to Smith. Smith on the boards. Puck comes back to Koken. Koken driving it into the corner. And now Smith gets tangled up here with a couple of West St. Paul players. Here comes Quant to help out. West St. Paul gets a piece of it. They send it cross ice, interrupted by Huseman. And West St. Paul on the move to get to that puck. First, Saliga takes them out. And that's a call on Saliga for tripping. So Spartacats quickly becoming physical in this game. I think they've learned their lesson in the last couple games that they gotta, pick up the physicality here. So they're just trying to use their bodies best they can. And looks like Kolslak now taking the draw in the defensive zone. West St. Paul back to the point. West St. Paul rips it in. Saved by Reek. And another shot off the rebound. Another one goes wide. Anna Reek holding her own in the net. And Emily Quant tangling that puck up on the boards. Goes back to West St. Paul just inside the blue. Kolslak blocks that pass and chips it out. She got a nice little tip on that. Puck sends it into the Saints. It is the West St. Paul Saints. I did confirm into the Saints zone. Now Beckwith controlling at center ice. Back to Quant. Beckwith pass and clears it. Kolslak trying to drive this puck in. We end up back at the red line. Kolsak on the boards, desperately trying to chip this puck out. Quant now, Emily Quant taking it in, almost tripped there. Not enough to draw a penalty. Riley Quant chips it up and into the zone. West St. Paul pass to the red line. They dump it in. Beckwith with a glove on that one. Drops it back down onto the ice and takes it behind the net. Beckwith passes up to Eilertson. Eilertson, nice cross ice pass to Lunenburg, and Lunenburg gets through. Lunenburg on a breakaway and shoots it. That's it. That's a goal for Lunenburg there. She was patient enough to go around the goalie and sink it in the back of the net. 8:45 on the clock. Spartacats up now 3-0. Shots on goal 17-5 favoring Spartacats. Okay, and we'll see if we can get the replay here. Here comes Lunenburg, breaks through. Look at that patience, and she just waits till the goalie gets down on her pads and then just backhanded sinks it in. Nice play by Lauren. Eilertson chips it up into the zone. West St. Paul will chase. Eilertson gets there first. Erickson now trying to get in the mix. Erickson behind the net sends it up to, well, it'll end up with West St. Paul here. She was looking for the pass. Lunenburg comes in at center ice. She's evading now in our own zone. Passes up to Eilertson. That goes into the zone, and that'll be an icing call. So girls take a quick line change here, and we'll end up in the defensive zone with a face-off. And we've got Emily Quant at the draw here. Puck ends up into the neutral zone, controlled by the Saints. They chip it off the board. Smith picks it up. Ooh, that probably should have been an offside call. I think she picked it up in there, past the blue line there, so we're good. Huseman now comes into the corner to help out. Puck comes back out to Riley. Riley trying to center the puck, gets it to Smith, and that's a goal. Smith got a goal off that pass from Riley. And we'll see if we can get the replay going on that one. The highlight. See a nice pass up to the boards there. That's Riley. She sends it up and gets the assist. 7:38 on the clock, and now the girls are quickly pulling away with goals. Emily Quant on the draw, chips it up into the zone, and Beckwith now picks it up in the neutral zone. Riley controlling, takes it all the way back behind our net, ships it up the ice to, I couldn't tell, Huseman. Huseman over to Emily Quant now. Or sorry, to Beckwith. Gosh, the 30 numbers, tough to read here on those flying jerseys. Beckwith takes it all the way around, gets it to Riley. West St. Paul controlling now in the corner. Emily manages to chip it back. We end up behind the net. And West St. Paul clears. Tolkien trying to get there. It'll be an icing call. 6:45 on the clock. Is our clock keeping up now? Okay. Erickson at the face-off. Kolsak Eilertson on wing. Saliga, Koken on D. Erickson gets tangled up here, and Kolsak trying to come in to pick up the puck as they were tangled. Kolsak now pinching on the boards with Erickson, trying to maneuver around to get this puck loose. And West St. Paul comes away with it. West St. Paul moving up the ice. Saliga slaps it back in from the blue line. Again, Eilertson picks it up. Saliga again. She rips it. That gets blocked. Koken comes in to slap it as West St. Paul was moving up the ice. Now Kolslak sends it up the ice to Eilertson. Eilertson pinched on the boards. Kolslak comes in to help. We've got a bunch of players wide open here waiting for this puck to come free. West St. Paul gets it. Erickson comes in to help, and we get a little bit tangled up here on the boards. Erickson battling. West St. Paul clears. They send it. Kolslak picks it up. Kolslak dumps it. And that'll be icing. So 5:38 on the clock here. Emily Quant at the draw. Lunenburg gets a piece of it, sends it back to Quant. Quant behind the net. Quant chips it up and over. Lunenburg picks it up. She's trying to break through again. She gets evaded and tripped. A big trip there by West St. Paul as they were trying to get their stick on the puck. And Lunenburg goes flying. She got right up, so that's a penalty on the St. Paul Saints here. So Spartacats on the power play. Quant battling at the face-off. West St. Paul comes away with it up the ice. Eilertson looking for the back check. West St. Paul dumps it, and here comes Riley Quant. Riley on the board, sends it up to Lunenburg. Lunenburg looking for a long pass to Eilertson. That had a little too much juice, but yeah, and it will be an icing call. Erickson taking the face off now. Erickson chips it to the boards, picked up by Quant. Quant taking it behind the net. Passes up to Smith. Smith to Erickson, loses it, and here comes Huseman to try to get a piece of it. She does. Huseman controlling. Erickson picks it up off a interruption, and now a back check. Tag team there by Riley Quant and Erickson to control the puck. Now Beckwith sends it up the ice to Smith. Smith to Erickson. Erickson past the blue line, trying to evade. She's got an open shot. She gets it. There's my girl. Out of the way, Bird. All right, let's see the replay. Erickson doing a little fancy stick work there, gets it up and over. The goalie on the over the shoulder there, almost barred down, not quite sure. For those of you watching at home, her nickname is the Bird. So we like to call her the Flying Bird on the ice. That was Emily Quant at the draw. Puck comes back. Koken picks it up now. Sends it off the boards up to Kolslak. Kolslak backhanded pass interrupted by the Saints. And now Koken on the boards. That ends up in our zone. Saliga controlling behind the net. Passes up to Kolslak. Bounces off the stick a little bit here. And Saliga picks it up again. Saliga moving up the ice quickly. We stay onside. And West St. Paul desperately trying to chip this out. Eilertson comes in to help. Koken dumps it back. Looks like we do have Claire Eilertson back on the ice now. Oh, and a quick little pass and play. Oh, that's not good. Little extracurriculars there in front of the net. No problem. Emily Quant gets right back up. Erickson at the face-off. Eilertson trying to maneuver this puck. Controlling in the corner. She gets tangled up. Here comes Lunenburg to help. Back to Eilertson. Eilertson off the boards to Beckwith. Beckwith with a shot. Oh, through some traffic. Goalie saw that one, and she manages to stop it. There was a lot of traffic there in front of the net for that tender, so she had an eye. That's a good save for her. Erickson back at the draw. Ref having little words here with our wings. Erickson chips it back to Beckwith, to Eilertson. Beckwith now to Quant. Quant sends it on goal. Goalie swallows that one. Erickson, puck drop, sends it over to Lunenburg. West St. Paul takes it behind the net. Erickson trying to find a way through the traffic, and they clear it up into our zone. Quant now picks it up, takes it behind our net. Quant chips it up the ice to Eilertson. Eilertson pass to Erickson. She gets a piece of it. Erickson again to Lunenburg. Lunenburg maneuvering up the ice. She gets laid out. Erickson controls. Get in the mix. Quant sends it back. Nope, it's just a little bit of keep away here. And Beckwith, wow, with a nice, she steps up. Wow, that's a shot from Lunenburg. Wow, the play is moving so quickly here, I can hardly call it. Quant gets a penalty here, I think. Oh gosh, that was not good. Ooh, I think Lunenburg took a stick to the neck there, unfortunately. That's a hooking call on Spartacats, I believe, in all that commotion. And yes, they're opening the Spartacat door. Looks like Emily Quant headed into the box. So Spartacats on a penalty kill here. Quant controlling the puck. Sorry, Smith. Smith up the ice. Smith going wide. Sends it behind the net. And she still gets a piece of this. Puck sends it to Huseman. Huseman shot. That goes a little wide. Koken now at the point. Sends it back. West St. Paul trying to clear. Koken sends it over to Saliga. Saliga up the ice. Into the zone. West St. Paul trying to pass. Koken interrupts, takes it in. Tries to take a shot there. It's a little wide. And puck clears. Saliga on the move. Behind the net. Saliga. Just evasive maneuvers there by Saliga. West St. Paul trying to center from behind the net. Picked up now by West St. Paul. They center. Nope. Saliga still getting in the mix there. West St. Paul shot blocked. And Koken sends it up to Smith. Koken comes away with it. Koken pass to Huseman. Picks it up off the boards. Huseman on the move. Lydia. And West St. Paul interrupts that momentum. Spartacats get offside. Erickson at the draw. Eilertson, Kolslak on wing. Puck comes back to Beckwith. Now to Quant. Now Kolslak taking it in. Kolslak with a pass to Eilertson. She reaches, chips it to the corner. And now Erickson trying to back check here behind the net. Kolslak comes in to help. Pass to Erickson, sends it. That got deflected there by West St. Paul. And we end up in the corner. right, so that's the end of the second period. We'll take a little minute break here, folks.
All right, we're back here at the third period. Start of the third. Spartacats 5-0. We got the bird, Kosliak.
Okay, folks. Ooh, boy, Erickson really getting physical there on the boards. I'm surprised she didn't get called for that one. Beckwith trying to rip a shot. A minute intermission, not quite long enough for a bathroom break. All right, let's see if we can get back in the mix. Erickson with a nice backhand there, trying to keep the puck in. It comes out anyway. And West St. Paul, no, now Eilertson controlling. Eilertson sees a little bit of room. She gets through. Beckwith trying to come in to help. We end up in the corner. Koken from inside the blue line dumps it back in. West St. Paul trying to clear. They do. Saliga interrupts that pass, falls, and on her knees manages to pass it and connect. Koken picks that pass up now and sends it over to Lunenburg. Lunenburg, oh, got offside. She looked a little surprised there, like, wait, what happened? I'm pretty sure she put a little extra juice on that one as she was sending it over to the ref. Emily Quant battling at the face-off. Lunenburg comes away with it to Saliga. Saliga losing her edge there. And Lunenburg going to take a penalty here. She bumped somebody into the boards. And Spartacats will be on a penalty kill. What's going on? Are they taking two?
Well, no, I think they gave her a technical or something because I saw her go like this.
Okay.
I don't know the official rules.
All right. So it looks like we have two in the box. Not quite sure. I think it was a technical penalty. I'll try to find out. But we got a minute 30 on the penalty clock, and we got 4 on the ice. Saliga manages to chip it out anyway, and West St. Paul now controlling into the zone. Here comes Eilertson. Trying to break that up. They pass, it's on the point. That player couldn't quite control. They send it in through some traffic. That gets blocked. And Saliga comes away with it. Saliga with a lot of room here, moving up the ice. Saliga drives it in the corner, passes back to Koken. Koken back to Saliga. Saliga gets taken out on the boards, and West St. Paul clears. Emily Quant picks it up, sends it over to Koken. Koken finds Saliga. What a pass. Saliga up to Eilertson. Eilertson goes a little wide behind the net. And now this is Quant. No, Smith. Smith doing little circles here in the zone, just playing keep away for a second. Centers, puck comes, oh, Beckwith, wow. What a hustle there to keep it in by Kendall Beckwith. Kendall in the slot, sends it, it's wide. Smith takes it up behind the net. West St. Paul trying to clear. Beckwith picks it up at the top of the circle, sends it back to Smith. Smith to Kolslak. Kolslak, wow, rips it into the corner, and we get a shorthanded goal. Let's see if we can get a replay on that one. The girls were doing a lot of passing there. There it is. She just rips it top corner. What a shot. Erickson at the face-off. Puck comes back to Quant. Quant chips it up the ice to Huseman. Huseman pass to Erickson. A little too much juice there. Erickson manages to pick it up off a bounce. Sends it back to the corner. Huseman picks it up. Huseman centers. Oh, Erickson was tangled up there, and now Beckwith picks it up just inside the blue line, taking it up the boards and behind the net. Back to Eilertson. West St. Paul trying to maneuver. They come up the ice. Trying to get through. Shot gets scooped up by Anna Reek. For the goalie grandparents at home, the shots on goal are 25-5. The girls have been switching back and forth, so I know I think Enrique was starting this period. We should have Hughes coming into the net here. Oh, in about 2 minutes. They usually switch out about halfway through the period. So Eilertson manages to chip the puck out of the zone, and West St. Paul driving it on the boards. Saliga and Erickson now pick it up. Erickson over to Koken. Koken chips it up to Eilertson. Eilertson dumps it, ends up behind the net. Smith moving in hot and heavy to pick this puck up. Now Erickson trying to tie up this player, take the puck. Erickson still chasing behind the net. Erickson trying to strategically take that player out, and she does. No call on that one. That's a fair play. Huseman with some room gets a shot on net. Goalie saw the slow rebound there and stopped it. She'll cover that up. They're not stopping the clock. I think they're letting it run just because we might be behind schedule. Yeah, there you go. Emily Quant taking the draw. To the corner. Back to Saliga. Saliga rips it in. It's a little wide. Goalie manages to deflect it anyway. Here comes Kolslak now with Eilertson. Eilertson maneuvering back to Koken. Koken trying to send it up to Kolslak. She gets tangled up on the boards. And West St. Paul clears it. Saliga picks it up. Saliga to Koken. Koken to Kolsak, but got interrupted. West St. Paul trying to make their way through. And they end up on the boards just in front of the Spartacat bench. West St. Paul passes back to their D. D passes up, interrupted by Saliga, and now Kolsak chips it. West St. Paul comes back. West St. Paul chips it up and over into the corner and up behind the net. Saliga on the chase. Quant coming in with a stick, and here comes Eilertson now. She gets a piece of that, gets it out of the zone. Kolsak coming in to help. Eilertson trying to barrel through. Koken now back to Saliga. Saliga looking for the pass to Eilertson. She gets a piece of that, chips it into the corner. West St. Paul controlling behind the net. They pass up to their wing. And Erickson sees a lucky bounce, lets her teammate Quant pick it up. Now Beckwith headed up the ice. Oh, that's a, no, they're not going to call that. I thought that was going to be a trip, but a little too much momentum there for Kendall. She went flying and then ripped right back up. Look at those snow-covered breezers. Oh, Quant trying to keep it on sides, but, to keep it in the zone, but gets offside here. So Spartacats to take a neutral zone face-off. Erickson taking the draw. All right, Gator in the net. West St. Paul into the zone. Beckwith gets a piece of it in the corner, takes it behind the net. Beckwith trying to pass up, that gets blocked. Turns around, goes back the other way. Passes up to Eilertson. Eilertson looking for Erickson, that gets blocked. West St. Paul trying to get a shot, too much traffic and commotion there. Now Beckwith controlling in the corner. Smith sends it out of the zone. Eilertson, she gets offside. Emily Quant taking the draw. Kolsak, Eilertson, and wing. Puck ends up on the far boards here. West St. Paul picks it up, they pass. Wow, and that girl runs up there to pick it up. Saliga on the chase, they get a shot on net from just in front of the red line. That's a wide-angled shot there. Hughes manages to stop that one. Another quick shot, and Hughes makes another one. Wow, 2 saves in a row there. Hughes reaching over to lay on that puck and stop the play. Couple quick shots there, fired on Alice Hughes. Still awake. Not a lot of action for the Tenders here tonight, but just a quick little flurry of shots. And that's how you know they're out there to do their job. They got their eye on the puck at all times. West St. Paul sends it in, that's wide of the net, and now Saliga racing in to pick it up. Puck comes out. West St. Paul tries to pass, interrupted there by Kolsak. Kolsak into the zone, pass to Eilertson. Couldn't quite get a shot off, and now she's just evading back behind the net. Centers to Kolsak. Interrupted by West St. Paul, and they send it cross ice to their wing. They pass, nope, interrupted there. Now Koken and Eilertson get a piece of it to keep it in the neutral zone. Kolsak with a nice stick coming in. And Koken steps up to drive that puck past the blue line. That comes flying out of the rink. Almost took the West St. Paul coach's head off, but he ducked. He ducked. Erickson at the draw now. Erickson wins it back to Beckwith. Beckwith trying to rip it in, that gets blocked. West St. Paul passes up, and we got a breakaway. Hughes comes out of the net, lining up. What a save by Alice Hughes on that breakaway. Holy cow. I'd love to see that from a goalie. Erickson and Eilertson now battling in the corner. I bet her grandparents are just jumping for joy. Is it too late to, jump for joy? I don't think so. Erickson kept that puck in, and now West St. Paul sends it out. Minute 30 on the clock. Beckwith picks it up on the boards. And she manages to dump it. That'll be icing. Oh, I think we have a replay on this save. Look at this breakaway save by Alice Hughes. Wow, she's just patient enough. Came way out of the net there, lined up perfectly, waited for that shot to go. Made the big save. Spartacats clear the puck, and here comes Polslack to try to pick it up with Quant. West St. Paul taking it. Polslack bumping around there on the boards with Quant, and West St. Paul comes away with it. Eilertson comes in. Quant chips it over. That gets interrupted by West St. Paul, and they take it behind the net. That was Eilertson with a quick shot there, blocked by the tender. Now West St. Paul controlling. Polsack comes in, bumping around. And West St. Paul with a big pass, too much juice there, gets past their wing. Hoken gets there first. Saliga controlling the puck, takes it past the blue line. That's a pass or shot got deflected way up. And that's it for Spartacats. Now they come away with a shutout. Look at those goalies. Wow, they did not a lot of shots on goal, but man, they came up big a couple times. I know both Reek and Hughes had some big saves there, so shout out to them. All right, so Spartacats come away with a win on district play. Shots on goal, 26-8. I think it's actually 26 to like 10 or something. I don't think they put those last couple shots on goal on the net, on the board. But in any case, we'll be back. Our next game is actually a scrimmage against Edina. I think that's on Friday. And then we will face off quickly against Valkyrie. So 2 big games coming up. Edina is not a district play, that's just a scrimmage. But Edina ranked #1 in the state right now. So that would be a big challenge for the girls. And then Valkyries, I'm not sure what they're ranked, but we did tie them, and they are, I think, ranked maybe #1 or 2 in our district. So that'll be another challenging game for the girls.